You can go.
In many ways, I'll miss the good old days. Someday, well, it hurts to say, but I want you to stay. Sometimes.
Right now we're in the harp studio at the bottom of Schoenberg Music Building. I like to joke with all my friends every time I take them here. I tell them that it's heaven at UCLA because this is where all the angels store their harps. I love the studio because it's like my playground and my secret lair for taking naps. And it's a good place for all my friends to just like gather around and jam out to music. One memory that I have here specifically is auditioning for the ethnomusicology program. When I was auditioning, I practiced in here every morning, and it really taught me that discipline is very important while playing music, but more important than that is having fun while playing music.
So we're in parking lot 5, level 4. My sophomore year of college, I was assigned to cover the mayoral debates that were happening in Bryce Hall, and they had a press junket afterwards, but the top 2 candidates, Eric Garcetti and Wendy Gruhl, didn't come to the press junket. But I knew that the only place that important people park when they're coming to an event at Royce is lot 5, level 4, because it's the closest parking lot to Royce. It's very elite that way. And so I just staked out the parking lot and waited for them to show up. And Eric Garcetti in his Prius did show up, and I basically chased him down, followed him to his car, which is so rude in retrospect, and begged him for a quote, and he gave one. And so what was cool was that of all of the reporters who were there that night, you know, LA Times, New York Times, there was somebody from The Guardian covering it. Little old me from the Daily Bruin was the only person who got to talk to the guy who eventually won the race.
They saw a ton of our Daily Bruin memory, aka when I thought I was going to die on the way to Joshua Tree.
We're on top of the Math Sciences building on the roof.
Well, last year I was a design editor and Aggie was a photo editor, and we had a late run shift, and we decided to go to, what's the place called?
C's Cafe.
Yeah, C's for coffee, but somehow ended up spending like
about an hour on the roof.
Yeah, really long time on here. It was so that Siri could get a good Instagram.
This is Siri, the Mojo editor. I'm pretending like no one noticed we were gone.
But I don't think so, yeah, no.
I think we just became better friends. Being up here together and being able to see Kirchhoff in the background, and we realized that what we were doing was about to come to an end, and it was
got a little too excited.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was nice seeing Kirchhoff from afar, knowing that we were supposed to be locked in there.
Yeah.
It was liberating.
Here at Spalding Field, which is where the UCLA football team practices and where the media does interviews with players after practice. I have a lot of great memories from the UCLA football beat, my year on the beat, but one in particular sticks out. It was right after the Kendrick Lamar song Control came out, and I don't know if you remember the song, but he basically was just calling out all these rappers, and in response to that, a bunch of rappers made response videos. Diddy actually made one, and he wasn't mentioned specifically in the song, and so a few of the writers and I were discussing, discussing the whole controversy surrounding it, and should he have made a response video? And I think I said at one point, I think it's kind of dumb that Diddy made that video. And as I'm saying that, Diddy, his son's on the football team. He walks in front of the bleachers, and I think he heard what I said and kind of looked. And it's just like, you never expect that person to be there, but he was there. And so it's kind of one of those moments that just kind of teaches you to, keep your mouth shut. So I just want to say, I'm sorry, Diddy. You can make as many response videos as you want. And that's my interesting UCLA football story.
Right now we're in the P2 level of parking lot 4. It's just underneath John Wooden Center. I was in a group called Ukai Daico, and so it's one of the 2 Japanese drumming groups on campus, and so we would practice here. We would literally drive cars full of drums and then unload them every night and just play next to cars driving by and like the sounds of honking and everything. I wanted to pay a tribute to, I guess, before I leave, because I had to leave the taiko group after the beginning of my junior year, because I was becoming more involved in the Daily Bruin, and I made a lot of friends here, and I got to reconnect with like my Japanese American heritage, which I really never had done a lot with before, and so it was a way for me to kind of connect to that, and I had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot on how to teach others and how to be a good listener and a follower.
Can I talk about this? We are in the news mag room, which is this little office space in the back of the Daily Bruin office and the news magazine office in Kirkhoff, 118.
This is not even badass.
Spinning and eating cake at the same time. This room is one of my favorite rooms in the office and holds a lot of, I've spent a lot of my time at UCLA in this room every Wednesday from like 5 to 7 last year and the year before. We're spent in this room with the beloved video section of the Daily Bruin when I was video producer, and we have a lot of good times here eating snacks like this cake that I have, and asking weird questions, campfire questions to each other. So who in the section would you fight? We like to fight a lot, apparently. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then sometimes I would also just come to this room when things got hectic at the Daily Bruin and just like sit on the couch and like eat by myself. That's really sad. Please don't put that in. This room is like a place of both like peace and quiet when I wanted it to be, but also like a fun and yeah, getting things done and like section bonding whenever I wanted it to be. So in the hallway leading up to the news mag room, there are also these archives of all the Daily Bruins we've had since 1940s, and I usually come here and just like look at the old newspapers and just like get inspiration and like see the history of UCLA. Or like when people come visit, I'll like take them to this place. And then the news mag room is like right down the hall. So.
Right now we are between 2 columns in front of Bryce Hall. It's probably my favorite spot on campus. I used to come here all the time during my last 4 years at UCLA, just between classes, last minute cramming for a midterm or a final, eating lunch with my friends, just hanging out. I went through a whole artistic phase my sophomore year where I used to sit here and stare across the way at Powell and try to sketch Powell almost every single day for about a month before I realized that I wasn't an artist and didn't really have any artistic ability, so I stopped doing that. But that was fun while it lasted. I also have had some really weird but interesting experiences of people that I don't know coming up to me and asking me various things. I've gotten woken up from naps here by different philanthropists asking for money. Sometimes tourists come up to me and ask me for directions. Probably the weirdest story with that was one time this random guy came up to me and asked me where Bryce Hall was, and I was sort of like, well, we're here. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss, sitting in front of Bryce Hall and just, going through the motions of my life at UCLA.